Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sid Alpha, and welcome to this week's Line of Sight, the Exclusively Games weekly news roundup. While many people love the bacon talk, I didn't end up with anything controversial or noteworthy in the comments this week to discuss, so the bacon talk will be a very simple sentence. Bacon is the perfect food. It is the food that makes other foods worth having. If you are of an opinion that this is not the case, then your opinion is wrong. You're welcome to it, of course, no matter how incorrect it is. Fight me. A bacon talk might continue next week, it might not. We'll see what happens. Remember, it all depends on you. Speaking of things that depend on you, dear viewer, I do have a vested interest in this channel's success, so please don't forget to like and comment on these videos, subscribe, and share them with your friends on social media. YouTube channels live and die by their communities, so let's see if we can make this one blow up. Also, don't forget to check out the Exclusively Games website for daily news content. Link is in the description below. Also, I've been considering and reconsidering the format of these videos. It would seem to me that the basic formula is sound, and it seems that it is a style of content that is sorely lacking within the video game industry these days. I'm curious if you all might be interested in a newsroom style delivery with me actually being on camera. Such an endeavor would be extremely expensive for initial setup, but I'd be willing to see if I could figure something out if that's what you all would be interested in. Of course, let me know down in the comments below. That said, let's get right to what we're all here for and run through the topics being discussed this week. Respawn delays Titanfall 3 in favor of Apex Legends, Mortal Kombat 11 and its over $6,000 worth of microtransactions, NetherRealm called out over severe crunch, and also Fortnite's Epic Games also called out for crunch. Now that we're all queued up, a relatively short list this week, let's get started. Respawn Entertainment's recent release of the Battle Royale set within the Titanfall universe, Apex Legends, right away came out swinging for the fences. Sporting 10 million players with over 1 million concurrent players in just the first 72 hours, Apex Legends burst onto the gaming scene and took it by storm, also breaking Fortnite's viewership record on Twitch. Since its release, the game has seen over 50 million downloads during its first month alone, with 25 million in its first week. This meteoric rise in popularity seems to only have been hampered due to a general lack of communication on the part of the developers and what has been considered to be a slow rate of new content being released. In a February 15th Reddit post, Respawn promised daily updates being communicated to the player base, which they did seem to make good on right up until about April 5th, when the development team seemed to go radio silent. However, no communication doesn't necessarily mean nothing happening behind the curtain. A couple of days ago, in an Electronic Arts blog post by Drew McCoy, the executive producer of Apex Legends, Respawn outlined their plans moving forward. In it, they addressed what they will be prioritizing in the upcoming weeks ahead. The first is server performance, which his statement shows there seems to be a problem that won't be a simple task to nail down. Another high priority for them is audio issues, and then also the issues with cheaters, which is a problem that plagues online gaming and Battle Royale games in particular as of late. In regards to the concerns about the slow influx of new content, Drew had this to say. We know that in addition to addressing issues with the game, everyone is hungry for us to add new content. The studio culture that we've worked hard to cultivate and the health of our team are very important. We take those into account when we discuss our content roadmap, the production schedule, and the frequency in which we can update the game. Our long-term goal is to ensure Apex Legends always feels alive and thriving, with a focus on quality of content over novelty or speed of release. At the same time, we want to maintain our culture as a development team and avoid crunch that can quickly lead to burnout or worse. In regards to Titanfall 3 and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Drew finished with, regarding other games in development at Respawn, it is important to understand that there are entirely separate development teams working on Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Additionally, in order to fully support Apex Legends, we are pushing out plans for future Titanfall games. No resources from the Apex Legends team are being shifted to other titles in development here at the studio, nor are we pulling resources from the team working on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So while it would seem that fans will have to wait a while longer for Titanfall 3, the upcoming Star Wars game will remain unaffected by this decision, and fans of Apex Legends will get some much needed new content and fresh gameplay to help keep the game from circling the drain. Our next story surrounds the recent release of Mortal Kombat 11 and a recent Reddit post that stated the microtransactions within the game would cost $6,440 to purchase, based on the assumption that a person has perfect luck to only get new items from random loot. This Reddit post, which has now been deleted and verified as being misleading, was making its way around the internet via numerous news outlets and YouTube channels including VG247, Newsweek, and Angry Joe, to name but a few. The original Reddit post, available through Wayback Machine, showcased the average cost of skins, the number of them based on the number of skins per character, and some very simple math to deduce that, with perfect luck, a person would have to spend over $6,000 to obtain all microtransaction skins within the game. In response to this, Ed Boon, the creative director of NetherRealm Studios, had a bit of a laugh over this post on Twitter, stating that the vast majority of skins within Mortal Kombat 11 can only be earned through gameplay and are not able to be purchased. And on this Combat Cast summary, it is outlined that NetherRealms acknowledges that there are aspects of the game that are too grindy in nature and that the earning of crypt, the in-game currency, through gameplay is too slow, and that is being addressed. In that post, they say, "We are also working on a patch as quickly as we can to address several other factors, including increasing currency rewards and tweaking other modifier values that couldn't be addressed in our tweakvar update. We're shooting to have the patch out this week, early next week at the latest. There are some things in Towers that are meant to be very challenging. We are trying to cater to many different types of players. Right now, everything is too challenging, and that wasn't the intention." As for the store, we want to stress that none of the in-game currencies, hearts, souls, and coins, are for sale. You also cannot buy consumables or augments. You cannot purchase anything that impacts gameplay at all. Only cosmetics, including easy fatalities and time crystals, are available in the store. So while some jumped on the bandwagon of calling out NetherRealm Studios, it does appear that they are listening to player concerns and are adjusting the game accordingly. Whether the game will still be too grindy in nature to the game's premium currency will remain to be seen. So, giving Mortal Kombat 11 a fatality might be just a bit premature. Although we're not finished with NetherRealm Studios today. Our next topic involves two particular stories, one involving NetherRealm Studios and their severe crunch, and Epic Games with their Fortnite crunch. Initially, I was going to tackle these as separate stories, but they do involve the same overall issue, so we'll take them together. First, we have this expose article posted by PC Gamer involving severe crunch over at NetherRealm with Mortal Kombat 9 and 10, as well as Injustice 2. The article itself goes over 80 to 100 hour per week mandatory crunch periods with no days off for very little pay. In that article, one developer, James Longstreet, stated, "On Mortal Kombat 9, crunch officially began after New Year's Day 2011. Of course, we did a bit of pre-crunch before that just to make sure we were in a good spot for crunch. This was on scheduled documents. This was not a wink-wink, nudge-nudge, passionate, hard-working thing. This was mandate. I took one day off between January 1st, 2011 and the day the Day 1 patch was approved. It was my birthday, and it was on a Sunday, so it was okay if I was just on call. I was allowed to go to a friend's wedding, on call of course, on a Saturday night after working an 8-hour shift first. Those were the only 2 days I didn't work from at least 10 a.m. to at least midnight. We were all doing this. I mean, except the bosses, of course, who would leave after dinner." Polygon also released a story involving Fortnite and Epic Games that paints a very similar picture of some people being forced to work 100-hour work weeks. In that article, it states, "We worked typically 50 or 60-hour weeks and upwards of 70-hour weeks on occasion," one source who worked as a contractor in QA said. "If I got to the end of an 8-hour workday and I turned to my supervisor to ask if I needed to stay on, they'd often look at me as if I was actively stupid. Officially, you don't have to keep working, but in reality, sit back down, we'll be here for a while. If you did not do overtime, that was a mark against your character." Another source said that contractors who declined to work long hours were often replaced. You're on contract. It could be 3 months, it could be a year, but if you don't do the extra work, it's most likely that your contract won't be renewed. "All management wanted was people who are disposable," said another source. "The situation was, come in and do as many hours as we need you. They put the contractors in a situation where if they don't do that overtime, they know they're not coming back." One senior guy would say, "Just get more bodies." That's what the contractors were called, bodies. "And then when we're done with them, we can just dispose of them. They can be replaced with fresh people who don't have the toxic nature of being disgruntled." The concept of crunch itself within the video game industry has been pervasive for years, and the International Game Developers Association's 2017 Developer Satisfaction Survey cited a few specific bits of information. When employees worked beyond normal office hours, i.e. overtime or crunch, 37% received no additional compensation. Of those who did, this additional compensation came most often in the form of perks like meals, 37%, or future time off, 32%. Only 18% received paid overtime. The survey's conclusion surrounding crunch was as follows. While there is a general decrease in regular and crunch hours of work in the industry over the past 15 years, crunch time is still part and parcel of the trade. The frequency and intensity of crunch may vary slightly across employment groups, but over half of the respondents across the board from each of freelancers, employees, and the self-employed say they crunch. This is often more than once per year, and they put in at least 50% more hours during crunch than the standard work week of 40 hours. The concept of crunch itself is a mildly controversial topic. Some people don't see it as a big deal, while others see it as an issue of monumental import. Regardless of your own personal thoughts regarding crunch, it would appear it is a concept the industry is either unwilling or incapable of letting go. But that's all we have the time for you on this week's Line of Sight. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts on these topics and others, don't forget to check me out on my YouTube channel over at youtube.com/SaidAlpha. As always, thanks to all you wonderful viewers out there. The comments section has continued to be absolutely amazing, and I appreciate all the fantastic feedback that has allowed me to make minor improvements throughout the weeks. You continue to be wonderful, and I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate it. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SaidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.